Hey everybody and welcome to the video. My name is Midway and I hope you're having a wonderful day. I sure am. So today I bring you some more Legend of Mushroom and I got a very interesting build for today. It's finally a mage build and one that is actually capable of beating a lot stronger builds with the right RNG. That's right, I am talking about a stun build that also applies for PvP and not just PvE like that last build I talked about for archers, right? This one is for mages and this one actually can work in both PvP and PvE. So before we get into the build, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy it, and now let's get into it. So you heard me right, this is a mage build that can actually be competitive in PvP, and we're gonna be going over what's so cool about it, right? So I've been fighting this person on ladder in my server and I've just been struggling to beat them from time to time, and I was wondering, well, how is that possible? So I talked to them and they sent me their whole build so we can go over how it works and if it's actually strong and if we can make it work for ourselves, right? So right now in the game I'm still playing my archer. I don't have the right gear for this build, but I'm still going to be showing you what the pieces are so you can put it together for yourself, right? So let's just start with skills. So first of all, let me go to a new page so we can start from scratch and we'll just set that up, right? So the whole build is the following. Let's just go back here and we'll start selecting skills, right? So we are going to be going for disarm, very strong ability in all forms of content, especially in PvP as well as PvE, of course, and we are going to be using that for the first skill. Then we would be using star array as a mage. Very strong skill, is going to do a very big front load of damage as well as giving you a lot of buffs, as well as, you know, that skill crit rate and that skill crit damage. Very strong. I don't have it, so I'm not gonna equip it, but you would need to have it for yourself. Very easy to get from the brawl. Next up, of course, we would be having the clone. Basically, clone is just strong altogether, right? We all know that having a clone alongside with you is going to give you a lot more damage as well. It's a lot more survivability. So clone, very strong in this build. Next up, we have our Blitz Assault for that immunity when we first get into battle, so we don't get blown up immediately. This is a build that is kind of squishy, but if everything goes right, it's not going to take almost any damage because you will see just how it works, right? So finally, we have our trusty Blade Pierce. Now Blade Pierce here is probably just being used because of the front loaded damage as well as a little bit of the HP regen, but mainly I think it's really just because of the amount of damage that it brings to the table. I think we could probably combo it with something like Crimson Moonfall as well, would be decent, although if the fight goes for a little longer, it maybe wouldn't be the best option. Something else I would maybe consider using in PvP would be Wild Gust, but nonetheless, in the build that they sent me, they are using a Blade Pierce, right? So they're really going for a massive amount of front loaded damage. Now I also have it at level 2, right? So that value is pretty damn high. Now moving on to pals. The pal setup they are using is the following, so I'll again switch to a whole new page and I'll start arranging what the build looks like, right? So first of all, we're gonna go with the deer. Very safe, a lot of damage reduction from that. We're also gonna go with the fox because I briefly mentioned that this is a stun build, right? And as you might know, healers or prophets have or benefit particularly from stuns, right? So we're gonna be able to increase the stun duration by 30% by using the fox, so having this pal is kind of crucial for this build. It's really going to make things a lot stronger. Now we're gonna have the sprite as well because well, it's just very damn strong all together, and we're gonna have that trusty fairy tail because of the skill damage, very important as a mage. And finally, we will, in this case of the build, have the crocodile or the tortoise rather. I don't know why I always see this as a crocodile, but this is going to be giving us a little bit more survivability of adding that big shield to our massive health pool. It's going to help just not die, but other options I could see maybe using in this build would probably be something like the treasure dragon, always very aggressive. Maybe something else like, for example, let's see what we could else use here. Maybe even using the cat, maybe not the best option, but also there's no general would be another very defensive option that I think would be pretty decent for this type of setup, right? So these are the pals that they sent me in this build. Now let's get into the final things here. The relics would be the following. Would be maybe let me just switch to another page right here real quick as well. So the relics here would be skill crit rate, of course. Playing a mage, we want some of that. Then we would want the kite for a little bit more extra damage. The best option usually, once you have it at a decent level, then we would be using the metamorphic crystals, because we're going to be using that, that's, I think it's not called the dog actually. Are we even benefiting from this, to be fair? As we can see, we do have the deer, but that doesn't actually count as a dog, so I'm not too sure if, we're using the fox, right? So that actually benefits us because we do actually have the fox in this build. Let me switch back to it. So yeah, we benefit from this because we have the fox, so we have a little bit more damage on that guy, that actually that attack speed. Then we will be going for the book, of course, because it's the only thing we actually benefit from in PvP. And then for the last two, we're going to be going for the time statue for that extra duration on disarm, although we don't benefit too much from anything else right there. And finally, we're going to go for the storm necklace for the clone strike, just dealing a little bit more damage, right? So nothing too crazy when it comes to relics. So the real meat and bones of where the build actually lays would be in the gear. You need to be going for a lot of stun as well as skill crit, right? You are a mage, you want to be getting those fat abilities doing a lot of damage. You will get some more skill damage as well from elsewhere, but the skill crit as well as the stun will be what really makes it for you, especially the stun, right? The more stun you can have, the longer and the more easily you're going to be able to stun lock the enemy, and that's really what it's going to be all about. If you got lucky enough and you chain enough stuns, you can just guarantee yourself enough time so that with less damage you can just have enough of the damage on the uses of your abilities so you can actually win. Same applies for PvE as well as PvP, right? That's the whole deal, right? So you want to be going for values around like this. What is it? 30% stun is very decent. At this point you are already doing pretty great, but things like, for example, well, I don't have pretty much any skill crit, right? I have 0%, but you would want something like 40%, as high as you can really, and skill crit damage as well elsewhere from where you can, right? So from the statue, we want to be getting stuff like global attack, skill damage, and global HP. That's all going to be pretty useful tools. We don't have anything that really boosts our stun, so skill damage always going to be great for mages. A little bit of global attack as well doesn't hurt too much, although skill damage probably is going to be helping us a lot more, and global HP can always be a more defensive approach, so I would go for something like that, probably focusing more on the skill damage, maybe getting like 3 skill damage, 2 global HP, or 3 skill damage, 1 global attack, and 1 global HP, or just going balls to the wall and just going full skill damage. That would probably give you the most impact, right? So that being really the meat and bones of where everything else, just get a whole lot of stun, and then for the souls, try to just get a whole lot of attack bonus. It's really or your main load, and just the load of your attack is going to be coming from. Going for a little bit of HP is always nice. Pretty much any build you can spec a little bit into some more HP, some more defense, because we don't really have anything that's really going to be benefiting. We do have a little bit of crit damage bonus, right? But besides that, we don't have anything that's really applying to crit damage here, like skill damage rather. So we do have a little bit of crit damage, which is going to be nice, but yeah, purely skill damage is not something we're going to be finding easily from souls. So global attack is going to be our best ally in just for the sake of increasing that just the damage from our kit, really. And all that together is going to allow us to just put something like this. So yeah, I'll probably just destroy them today, but the whole idea is to try and see if they actually go through a big stun chain onto me, right? And that is actually what happened to me quite some time. So as you can see, I'm just pretty much AFK. I have a lot of HP and I upgraded my damage a lot today, so I'll definitely win if they do allow me to attack. But as you can see, I'm actually just getting perma CC'd, and I pretty much just almost lost because I did two-shot them right there. Because I'm pretty far ahead of them right now. But as you can see, the chain actually works. Obviously, the footage is also, I'm not accelerating the gameplay so you can see what it does, but it pretty much, that's what happens. If you do have enough damage, and if you are lucky enough, you will be able to get with enough stuns to just permanently chain somebody to death. No matter if they are a lot stronger than you, you can actually win. But at this point, I got such a massive upgrade in terms of damage today that I am just one-shotting them, to be fair. That's really what happens. When somebody is really far ahead from you, doesn't matter if you're really trying to outsmart them with a better build, it's really going to be very hard to actually make that happen. But in this case, it actually happened when we were a little bit closer in terms of power, right? They're definitely a little bit behind of me. So yeah, we could see this being a pretty powerful build in PvE. You could also add things in, like for example, You could have the bunny to make the enemy also hop a little bit around, right? So that's also counting a bit of as a stun, but that also kind of benefits a lot from attack speed, which mages don't have too much of. So yeah, maybe not the best, maybe just going for full combo or actually a combo stun here would be the best, but adding that pet into the mix wouldn't be too bad. But yeah, if you are playing a mage and you are struggling a little bit to find a build that can make it work for you in PvP as well as PvE, well, this could be just for you. So try it out, just try and go for a little bit of stun. I did forget to mention a little bit about the relic, the artifact enchants, and I was told that the main priority is to go for stun wherever you can find extra stun. It's just going to give you a lot better chance of actually going through that stun lock. So if you could get something like, what's it, the actual set, which would be to get some skill crit and skill damage and all that good stuff, then that would be ideal on the artifact enchantments. So the one you would be wanting to go for would probably be not the global counter, but the global crit damage, right? That would be the one you want to get the 4 set for, and or rather global skill damage would be the 4 set, and then global crit damage would be your 2 set. But if you are able to get stun onto any of the pieces, that is probably better, simply because stun is just so much more valuable. But in a perfect world, you would get the set you need, and then you would get stun onto those pieces, right? So that is how you could build this all together, right? So this is specifically the build that I showed you, specifically applies for PvP. Now, if I was to be talking a little bit about PvE in this case, what would be switching around is that you would be trying to get a little bit more of skill damage. You would be trying to actually get some boss damage into the mix. You would be sacrificing some HP, so you wouldn't go for the statue, at least. You wouldn't go for that much, a little bit more defensive approach. So instead, you would be getting, as you can see, skill damage, boss damage, and global attack. Those would be sort of like your go-to. A little bit of boss damage doesn't hurt, but skill damage is always king as a mage. And then the build, skill-wise, well, it would look a little bit the same, but you would be trying to actually go through a longer stun chain. So I can show you here. You would be trying to change your skills to also include stuff like what's it called, actually, the stun in the game, right? So what's it, dazzled? You could time that properly with a good skill delay. You can go through here, right, and set it up so that you can first use your disarm, and you would like go through 4.5 seconds of that, and then you would be using, or actually instead this one would be no delay, and then the last one would be 4.5 seconds, and then you would also be timing your probably you could do that with your Blitz Assault, so it goes after the stun is over, right? So sort of like that archer build that I talked about could also be applied to this mage build, and then you could have a long immunity chain together with the stuns, as well as all the CC onto the boss, right? So that could give you a pretty decent chance. Then when it comes to pulse, well, you would try to slot in the Cat Prince here for a little bit of extra damage, and then you could also slot in that attack speed, so you can really try and stun lock the boss. It really just comes to that, right? So pretty much nothing else would change here. You would probably just go with the immunity book here. This is gonna be your best bet, unless maybe a little bit of extra boss damage, but I think the immunity book would give you the better just chances of surviving. And yeah, that's pretty much all that would change if you were playing this build in PvE. If you're gonna be testing that out, let me know what you think about it. Otherwise, before you go, please check out Aptoide if you haven't done so yet. Now, Aptoide is basically just like Google Play. It's a platform where you can download apps from, and once you do so, whenever you're trying to make it purchases within the games that you have downloaded through Aptoide, what's going to happen is that you're going to be prompted to pay through the AppCoins wallet, right? So as you can see right here, if I'm going to be trying to pay for this pack of gems, I will be getting a bonus of 0.14 euros, right? So that's the whole thing about it. You can get a bonus that goes from extra 10% all the way up to extra 35% of how much money you're spending. And then you can use those bonuses within the AppCoins wallet to actually make the purchases for you, right? So that way you can just get better value for your money. You can get things cheaper in the game, as whenever you're spending any money, maybe you are participating in a gacha event, so you want to be getting something. Well, as you spend money in the game, you will be getting bonuses, which will scale up with things like, for example, using the code, which I have there on the screen as well as down in the description, or also participating in active events, which you can also find within the AppCoins wallet, which will increase that bonus even further, right? So yeah, doing all that, you can just get stuff with spending less money, because you will be able to use the cashbacks or the extra bonuses you unlocked to get whatever you want, right? So here in the AppCoins wallet, and by the way, I have a guide on how to set all this up down in the description, so if you got any questions on how to set it up, well, you can just go down there and use that guide, or you can always ask down in the comment section. But here in the AppCoins wallet, you will be able to input the promo code I just talked about, right? So you put it right there and you unlock an extra 5% bonus from the get-go. And then right here, you can also see how much progress you have done towards unlocking a higher bonus in the future, as well as you can see any active events going on within games from Aptoide. And yeah, whenever any of these events is actually happening, when you make purchases in those games, the bonus will be scaled up by that much percent as it is displayed, 5 to 10%. For a limited time, right? So you can get an even better value for your money, right? So yep, definitely a very good deal. I've been using it for a while. If you do use my code, you do help me out, right? So hopefully we can all agree that it's a pretty good deal. And let me know if you use it. Any questions, again, drop it down below in the comment section. I'll gladly answer them to you and help you out. And if you like the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye, see ya.